Today, you're gonna see Orion, the rescue dog, learn some awesome leash walking skills. And this is our dog, Indy. Rule number one of training, always use amazing treats. Average treats won't cut it if you're at all serious about training. That's why you want major attention getters like these. Pupford has two incredible treats to choose from, which are way different than anything else out there. When dogs eat better, they feel better and act better. These new freeze-dried sweet potato treats literally have one ingredient in them. They're ultra healthy and they'll get your dog listening to you quickly. They're made from 100% sweet potatoes. These are perfect to keep your dog's protein consumption down. Plus, everyone knows sweet potatoes are a superfood. I've been using these freeze-dried beef liver treats, also from Pupford, for the last many months, and every single dog I've offered these to has just loved them. They're freeze-dried, which means they get rid of all the moisture, but the nutrients and the flavor remains. Try mixing both kinds of treats into your treat bag, because keeping your rewards extra random and using a variety makes training more exciting and multi-dimensional for your dog. Having the best treats available at your fingertips will put you in a better position to establish phenomenal communication. Pupford treats are great for dogs of all ages, and you can get them now at the link in the description. And when you subscribe for auto shipments, you'll get an additional discount, and you can lock in that price for all of your future shipments. Click thumbs up for Orion. He's back for part 2 of our training lesson. In our last lesson, we worked on fetch and getting him to pay attention. So now I'd like to focus on giving him some basic skills. Remember, he is a homeless dog. He's looking for a home. And one of the issues with so many dogs in shelters and rescue groups is that they don't walk well on leash. They pull, they jump. So getting a dog to have those basic manners makes them way more adoptable. And that's my goal with Orion. We want to see if we can find him a new loving home. But first, we got to get him trained a little bit. Leash walking is an essential skill for a dog to have. I mean, if they're going to be living in a normal environment like this, they've got to be able to walk nicely on leash without jumping and pulling. Our first order of business before doing a proper leash training session with an energetic dog like Orion is to get all of that energy out. In our last lesson, we did an introductory fetch session with Orion, and I think he's got enormous potential to be a Frisbee dog, so I'd like to see how he does on that. First thing we're gonna do is put a lead on him so we have complete control of him. Oh wow, I love this. Look how he's immediately getting into the Frisbee by playing tug with it. That's usually half the battle because it's a hard substance. Like a rope toy is something that dogs prefer to play tug with as a general rule, but if you can get a dog playing tug with a Frisbee this quickly, that's a good sign. We worked on let go last time a little bit, so he's still a little rough. Now when he lets go, I'm gonna roll it like that to encourage him to chase it. Look at him, he picked up the Frisbee and brought it back. Oh man, that's awesome. Look how he's trying to play keep away. This is why you have your dog on lead. Let go. I'm gonna let him know by letting go. He'll get what he wants. There you go, come on, good boy. And the reason I'm rolling it like that is to encourage him to go for the rim. You see how he's losing interest periodically in the Frisbee? I'm gonna reignite his interest by playing tug. There you go, and you see, just by doing that, he got a lot more interested. I'll tell you what, let's see what happens if we throw it. I'm just gonna hover it. What? What is happening? First attempt, he caught it out of the air. I'm speechless. You never see that. I need to reward him by playing some tug. It was incredible. See if it happens again. Yeah, good job. For a first Frisbee lesson, that was pretty good. He caught it out of the air when I hovered it in front of him. He's chasing rollers, grabbing him by the rim, playing lots of vigorous tug with the Frisbee. That's awesome. We don't have a top-notch Frisbee dog just yet. It's gonna take more training. We got that energy out, so that puts us in an ideal position now to do a leash training session. In my last lesson with Orion, we worked on look at me. Let's see how he's doing. Yes. Good job. Getting your dog to look at you when you ask will be an essential part of teaching them to walk on leash. So we've got a giant lawnmower going on over here. Right there, he's acknowledging it. I actually like how he's behaving right now, so I'd rather him not react. I'm gonna go ahead and see if he'll take a treat. That's good. That means he's in a teachable mindset if he'll accept a treat. Sometimes when dogs are really distracted, they won't accept a treat at all. Little more reaction there. Little tension on the leash. Over here. Look at me. Yeah, that was a good one. I was able to get his eyes on me in the face of that somewhat significant distraction. Not every day you see that, huh, Orion? So I can get him to look at me. Now let's see if I can get him to look at me while moving. It might be easy to assume that just because your dog will look at you right here, that they'll do it while walking on a leash. Not necessarily the case. Anytime you change a variable, you have to be prepared to really methodically work with your dog. In other words, this is a completely new skill. So getting your dog to look at you while walking is the trick here. So now I'm gonna go back this way. Up here. Nope, see, don't have eyes on me, so I'm gonna stop. Hey, Orion. Yes, good. Right there was a perfect example. I got his eyes on me while he was in motion. Notice I kind of have to hunch down a little bit to really get on his level. You might notice this is looking pretty easy right now, and it is. And I think the reason is that we've put in the prerequisite work here. We've exercised him, and we've taught him how to do a basic look at me when we hold a treat up. So we're in good shape. Hey, look who's back, the lawnmower guy. Only now he's even closer. So I like to see if I can get a look at me in the face of any distraction. Right here, look at me. Yes. Good work. Oh, right there. See, he's much closer now. But did you see how when that lawnmower got really close to us, he wouldn't take the treat at all? And then as the lawnmower retreated, he was like, okay, I'll pay attention to you. That illustrates the point that the closer your dog is to a distraction, the less likely they are to listen to you in the face of that distraction. So remember, when you're in those situations, especially with a dog new to training and you can't get their attention, protocol is to create distance, get away from that distraction if possible. In this case, the lawnmower got away from us. By training in public like this, you just never know what distractions you're going to get. So let's resume our lesson. So come on over here. Good. I'm gonna let him walk, and now I'm gonna turn around this way. I'm gonna keep him off to one side like this. I prefer my left in this case. Look how calmly he's walking right now. That tongue is hanging out of his mouth. He's panting. That's a good thing in this case. That's why we exercise him. It's a lot easier for him to focus when you get their energy out. And the reason we walk back and forth like this on a preliminary leash training session is because this is familiar territory. So he's like, all right, I've seen this territory. I'm a lot more likely to behave. We want to teach the fundamentals very methodically and slowly, just like this. And do you see how we're able to teach this without force, and we're able to get him to think rather than making him walk slowly? We're teaching him how to walk slowly. This is why you want to avoid using gimmicky collars like choke chains, electric collars, or anything like that. You want to teach your dog how to think. And I'm being quite liberal with my rewards at this point. He's never had a leash training session, so this is his very first one. The shelter workers were telling me about this, that he tends to get really distracted by ground sense. Remember, dogs really take in the world so differently than we do. So it's important to work with them and understand how distracting that really is. That was an example of redirecting. That's how we redirect a dog when they're distracted by something, in this case, a ground scent on a walk. Did you catch how I didn't reward one time, but I rewarded the other? He's behaving so reliably in this specific context, so I'm going to kind of vary the rate at which I reward. In this case, I can lower the rate at which I reward because he's proving that he's performing very reliable. Now, if a dog walks by, I'm gonna up that rate of reinforcement, or if the lawnmower comes back again, then I'm really going to be sure to reward super liberally in that case. So that's what I mean. You kind of have to throttle your rate of reinforcement when you're training a dog. Again, look at that loose leash. He's doing really good. Orion is really exceeding my expectations right now, so I think we can take this to the next level. The next thing I'd like to teach him is how to vary his speed a little bit. Key to teaching your dog how to vary their speed, though, is to be able to reliably get that attention on you. So let's get him a little peppy there. You can see he's got that energy in him, and he's a little jumpy, but I'm gonna overlook that right now just because I appreciate that he's not lunging ahead. So I want to be able to go from moderate jog to slowing down. Boy, you are a model citizen. This just underscores the point that dogs from shelters and rescue dogs are no harder to train than any other dog. It just depends on the individual dog's personality, regardless of their background. This is Orion's first day of training ever, as far as we can tell, but he's really excelling. He's doing great. Tell me what you guys think about the format of getting a dog from a shelter or rescue group and working with them. I'd be curious to know. Click thumbs up for Orion, the adoptable rescue dog. Why wouldn't you want this dog in your life? Subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram for daily training tips, live training sessions, and top secret news. Get my brand new book, Guide to a Well-Behaved Dog. Support us on Patreon as well. The support from our patrons helps us make more and better videos. All of those links are gonna be in the description below. Oh, hey, Orion, you did so great. I'm so proud of you.
Okay, so let's go over what you want to work on.
Lord. If I tell him to sit, he'll sit. If I have a treat in my hand, I'll tell him to go down, he'll do it. If I'm, let's say, walking, sometimes he's not interested in people at all. He'll mind his own business. Sometimes he looks like he's on my business, and all of a sudden he'll just go and lunge. On the elevator, like one day we were waiting for the elevator, he was sitting next to me, the elevator door opened, he just went bonkers, started barking, nipped me. So I don't know what provokes him, and it's like when I try to, let's say we're walking and there's another dog walking and I try to take away his attention, I really have to, like, you see how I have him on easy walk? I have to hold him on easy walk and the collar and like really yank him the other way.
If he's interested in the other dog?
The other dog, yeah, and sometimes he's interested and he'll come up and he's normal, but sometimes it depends on the dog. They'll bark at each other, like if it's a big dog. I've noticed that like with the neuter dogs, he has more reactivity than with like the little fuzzy ones. I get him to listen to me. I want him to be obedient like 100%. Like I don't want to be like, Lord, Lord, Lord.
Okay.
You know?
All right, okay. So let me just see what he knows then.
Okay.
So just bring him out and just walk him around and let me see what he knows.
Okay. Head with me. And I don't want that. I always have to like do this and like struggle. Like really hard. Hey, leave it. Leave it. to be looking for him. He's not looking at my face.
You're completely disconnected here.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so bring him to me. I'll sit. Good. So the goal of the slip collar is to teach him what I want to do. So before it was do this, do that, do this, do that, no regard to anything. So you just, right, but now he's not. So he's not trained and he's not fixed, but now I can,
He understands what's going on.
now I can work with him, right? Because now he's, like, I'm not making him do anything. He's made a decision, regardless of the anxious dog over there, he's made a decision to go, this makes a little bit more sense. So I'm gonna tune this up and define it just a little bit more to get him really on tune with me, and then, good heel. So now I'm starting to mark the behavior. So good means, hey, you're doing something right. Heel means that that's the behavior I'm trying to capture. Does that make sense? Good heel. Good. So now I'm proofing him a little bit. So I'm changing directions, going this way. Does he follow? Yeah, good boy, good heel. Does that make sense? Okay, good, sit. Do it one more time. I want you to watch how many times I actually correct the dog and how many times I actually put pressure on the dog with the leash. Okay, heel. So I asked him to go into gear. I didn't say, okay, buddy, let's do heel. I said, heel. Okay, and I turn this way, that way. Yeah, good boy. This way again. Stop, paying attention. Good. Auto sits, engaged, looked at me. Next step, heel. Good. Heel. Using my body, cutting him off. Good heel, buddy. Good. 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 Good job. Come on. Come on. Come on. Yeah. Good heel. Good. The point is it doesn't have anything to do with like what we think's going on in his head. Of like, oh, he's nervous, he's scared. It's the dog. It's like, it all has to do with you. Like, you're the nucleus of the entire equation. So you have to make sure that you're taking all these loose ends and you're straightening them out. Okay? Do you have any questions? He's excited because it's Pizza Friday, so he thinks he's going to get crust. So he starts to whine when the pizza comes in. But when I say heel, okay, I'm just going heel, and I walk forward. Left side, loose leash. I'm not looking at him. I'm not talking to him. I'm not having a conversation with him. I'm the one that can drive a car and has thumbs and all that stuff. I'm in charge. He's not. You follow? Okay. So now I'm going to switch directions. Turn this way. Good. Turn this way. Good heel. Good. Turn again. Pivot. I'm going to ask him to sit. Sit. If he doesn't, just a little pressure. Good man. Good sit. Rewarding. Good means, hey, I've done something. What have I done? Sit means sit. Yep. Does that make sense? Okay, so what you don't want to do is what everybody does, and you're probably going to do it too, is you don't want to put a lot of pressure on the leash, let the dog bounce from side to side, look at him, talk to him, walk super fast. You don't do any of those things. You're probably going to do it. I'm going to tell you not to, probably 4 or 5 times, but just make sure that you're trying to mimic what I'm doing because this equation works for us. See how calm he is? Yeah. But the cool thing is like he's now going. Yes. When he came in, he's like, oh God, what do we do? Who are you? What are we doing? Why are we doing it? Blah 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 blah. Now he's like.
It's not bad. I got it.
You know what I mean? Okay, you want to give it a try? Okay. Break.
See, I'm his playmate.
Well, you're his playmate because you're allowing him to be your playmate.
You see? Hey, leave it. So I'll just ignore his behavior.
I wouldn't ignore it. I would like correct him. So grab the leash. Yeah, grab the leash and start walking.
Okay. All right.
Remember what we talked about? So switch sides. There, keep him on your left side. Put your arm down. Good. Walk back this way. Tell him to heel. Good. 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 Turn the other way. Good. Stop. Just put him in a sit.
Lord.
Good. So, do you have an auto sit with him? Is that your thing? Do you want him to auto?
Like, when I walk out of my apartment, this is my exit. go this way, and these are the elevators. So I don't want him to be jumping. So I'm trying to get him into the mode to like sit
Yep.
without even me having to tell him to sit. So I'll just go like this and look at him.
Yep.
He sits. I mean, I could command him to sit. He does that too.
So yeah, so a couple of things is like when we ask them to sit, like I would start saying sit, just because you're not always going to have the opportunity to posture up like that. And I think like the other thing is if you handed it off to him or you handed it off to me and I don't do this,
Right, he's not gonna.
if I say sit and he looks at me and he's like, I don't know what that is, and I correct him, it's not fair to him. So I would just
say sit.
Yeah, be universal. You can have your own little dialogue, but don't just make sure that it's successful for him. Because if anybody else walked him and asked him to sit and he didn't, and we corrected him, it'd actually end up being your fault, you know? Because you're like, oh no, he knows sit, but you have to.
Consistency
Yes.
is the key.
And the other thing is too is like the next step, which we're going to get into, which I haven't explained yet, is make sure that you're being extremely binary with what you ask him to do. Okay, so that means he's working or he's not. So if you ask him to sit, don't let him get up
Do anything else.
Right, until you say break.
Okay.
Because the break is like a universal, do whatever you want. Yep. So when you say, hey buddy, SIT, and he does it, and when you're having a conversation, he gets up like he did and walks away, the micro of it is the fact that he's not sitting anymore, which kind of sucks. But the macro or the bigger picture is the simple fact that he's no longer
Respecting and he's
yes.
no longer following
commands. He made a decision to say,
we're not doing this.
right. And that's what's bubbling up throughout your relationship is
Always.
he's yeah.
He's the leader, I'm the follower.
So structure, right? If you just like kids, go to your room, they don't go into the room for 5 seconds and say I'm bored and walk out and you're like, oh, whatever. Because then that's going to bubble up everywhere. Do the dishes, 1 or 2 and then walk away. Go to school, a couple periods and come home. You have to make sure that you're being consistent. It's not like a militant thing. You just say, and it's not your fault. A lot of people don't know that like the sit command or the heel command is something that should be used over a duration until you say to stop. I always tell people it's like a standard car. Once you go into like first gear, it's not going to come out of gear unless you put it into neutral and you tell him to brake. So think about it like that. If you ask him to do something, don't let him just decide when he's